Minji woke up in the dark. Something was wrong. She lay still in her sleeping pod, listening. The research station hummed quietly around her, the same sounds she had heard every night for the past 6 months. But there was something else now. A new sound. Scratch. 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 She sat up slowly. The sound came from somewhere near the airlock. Minji checked her watch. 3 in the morning, station time. Nobody else lived on this station. She was completely alone, studying the atmosphere of the planet below. The nearest human was 3 days away by shuttle. Scratch. Scratch. Minji got out of bed and walked to the control panel. She pulled up the external cameras on her screen. The station floated in the darkness of space, the blue and green planet turning slowly below. She switched through different camera views. Nothing, just empty space and stars. The scratching stopped. Minji stood there for a long time, watching the screens. Maybe she had imagined it. 6 months alone could do strange things to a person's mind. She had read the reports about isolation effects. Hearing things that were not there was common. She went back to bed. The next night, it happened again. Same time. 3 in the morning. Scratch. 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 This time, Minji jumped out of bed immediately. She ran to the controls and checked every camera. She adjusted the sensors. She searched for any debris, any rocks, anything that could explain the sound. There. Just for a moment. A shadow moved across camera 3. Something small. Something close to the outer door of the airlock. Minji's heart beat faster. She was a scientist. She studied atmospheres and weather patterns. She was not trained for this. Nobody had told her what to do if something tried to get inside the station. The scratching continued for about 5 minutes. Then it stopped again. Minji did not sleep that night. She watched the cameras until morning came. She drank coffee and wrote notes. She checked all the station systems. Everything worked normally. The air was good. The power was stable. The doors were locked. She was safe. But something was out there. On the 3rd night, Minji was ready. She had set up extra lights around the airlock. She had pointed every camera at that door. She had recording equipment ready. When 3 in the morning came, she was sitting at the control panel, watching. Scratch, scratch, scratch. There. She saw it clearly this time. A creature about the size of a large dog. It had 4 legs and a long body. Parts of its skin glowed with a soft blue light. The creature stood in front of the airlock door. It lifted one front paw. It touched the metal door with its claws. It pulled its paw down slowly, making the scratching sound. Then it stopped. It looked at its own paw. It tilted its head to one side like it was thinking. It lifted its paw again and scratched the door once more, slower this time, more careful. Minji watched in amazement. The creature was not attacking the door. It was not trying to break in. It was practicing. It was learning how to scratch. The creature looked up at the camera. Its eyes caught the light and reflected it back, glowing yellow. For a long moment, Minji and the creature looked at each other through the camera screen. Then the creature turned and walked away into the darkness. Minji sat back in her chair. Her hands were shaking. She had just seen an alien, a real alien, on her station, and it had been learning how to scratch at her door. She should report this immediately. There were protocols, rules, procedures for alien contact. The Galactic Survey Corps would send a team. They would study the creature. They would secure the station. But Minji did not reach for the communications panel. Instead, she watched the recording again. She watched the way the creature moved, the way it practiced its scratching, the way it looked at its own paw, checking its work. This was not a mindless animal. This was something intelligent. The next night, Minji prepared something different. She opened the outer door of the airlock just a crack. Not enough for anything to get inside the station, just enough to leave something in the airlock chamber itself. She placed a small container of food there, protein rations from her supplies. Then she sealed the inner door and waited. 3 in the morning came. The scratching started. Minji watched on the cameras. The creature appeared. It scratched at the door as usual. Then it stopped. Its head lifted. It smelled something. The creature moved to the side where Minji had left the airlock door cracked open. It pushed its nose into the gap. It could smell the food. After a moment of hesitation, the creature squeezed through the outer door into the airlock chamber. Minji held her breath. She could see the creature clearly now through the airlock's internal camera. Its body was covered in smooth skin that shifted colors in the light. The glowing patches on its sides pulsed slowly, like breathing. It had large eyes and small ears. Its claws were long but looked delicate, not made for fighting. The creature found the food container. It sniffed it carefully. Then it ate, taking small bites. When it finished, it did something unexpected. It turned to face the internal camera. It sat down. It lifted one paw and scratched the air, not touching anything, just making the motion. Then it left through the outer door. Minji stared at the screen. The creature had performed the scratching motion deliberately. It had shown her. It was trying to communicate. She spent the whole next day thinking. She had discovered an intelligent alien species. They were making contact, and they were doing it by learning to scratch at her door, like a pet asking to come inside. It was the strangest first contact anyone had ever made. By the time night came again, Minji had made her decision. She would not report this yet. She would learn more first. She would understand what this creature wanted. She would figure out what the scratching meant. When 3 in the morning arrived, she was ready with more food. She watched the creature come. She watched it scratch. She watched it eat. And she began to believe that maybe, just maybe, something wonderful was happening on her lonely station at the edge of known space. Something that would change everything. 2 weeks passed. Every night the creature came. Every night Minji left food. Every night she watched and learned. She had started calling the creature Komi in her private notes. It meant little one. The name felt right. Kakomi was small and moved with careful, gentle steps. There was nothing aggressive about the creature at all. Minji had learned many things by watching. Keikomi always scratched exactly 7 times before checking the airlock. The glowing patches on its body changed colors based on what it was doing. Blue when calm, green when curious, yellow when excited about the food. Keikomi never tried to break anything or damage the station. It simply came, performed its scratching ritual, ate, and left. On the 15th night, something new happened. Keikomi brought something with it, a small crystal about the size of Minji's fist. The creature placed it carefully in the airlock next to where Minji always left the food. Then it scratched its 7 scratches, ate its food, and left. Minji waited until she was sure Komi was gone. Then she suited up and entered the airlock. She picked up the crystal carefully. It was beautiful, clear like glass but with colors swimming inside it, red and purple and gold. It was warm to the touch. Back inside, she studied the crystal. It was not from her station. Keikomi had brought it from the planet below. It was a gift. Keikomi was giving her something in exchange for the food. Minji sat down heavily. This changed everything. Gift-giving was not animal behavior. Gift-giving was culture. It was intelligence. It was society. The next morning, the monthly supply shuttle arrived. Minji heard it dock and tried to act normal. She cleaned up her research notes. She hid the recordings of Keikomi. She put the crystal in a drawer. Hyun came through the airlock with boxes of supplies. He was a corporal with the transport division, former military. He had been bringing Minji her supplies for 6 months now. "Good morning, Dr. Kang," he said. He started unloading the boxes. "How is the research going?" "Fine," Minji said. She helped him carry boxes to the storage area. "Everything is fine. Very normal. Nothing unusual." Hyun looked at her. "Are you okay? You look tired." "Just working hard," Minji said quickly. "You know how it is. Lots of data to process." They worked in silence for a while. Hyun talked about news from Earth, about politics and sports and weather. Minji tried to pay attention, but her mind kept going to Komi. Would the creature come tonight with Hyun here? What would happen if Hyun saw it? That evening, Hyun stayed for dinner. He usually did when he delivered supplies. They ate together and talked about small things. Minji kept checking the time. "Almost 3 in the morning. I should sleep," Hyun said finally. "I am leaving early tomorrow." "Yes," Minji said. "Good idea. Sleep well." But Hyun did not go to the guest quarters. He went to get a drink of water. He was standing in the kitchen when the scratching started. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Hyun froze. What is that? Nothing, Minji said. Just the station settling. It happens sometimes. Scratch, scratch, scratch. That does not sound like settling, Hyun said. He moved toward the control panel. That sounds like something outside. Minji moved to stop him, but she was too slow. Hyun pulled up the camera feeds. They both saw Kokomi standing at the airlock door scratching. Is that an alien? Hyun's voice was very quiet. Yes, Minji said. On this station? Yes. For how long? 2 weeks. Hyun turned to look at her. His face was shocked. 2 weeks? And you did not report it? Minji took a breath. Look at it, Hyun. Really look. It is not attacking. It is not dangerous. It is trying to communicate. They both watched the screen. Keikomi finished scratching. It placed another crystal in the airlock. Then it looked up at the camera and sat down. It lifted its paw and made the scratching motion in the air, just like before. What is it doing? Hyun asked. Showing us, Minji said. It is showing us the gesture. Like teaching us. Hyun ran his hand through his hair. This is against every protocol. You should have reported this immediately. I should report this now. Please, Minji said. Just wait. Let me show you something. She pulled up all her recordings. She showed Hyun everything. The first night of scratching. The way Komi practiced. The food exchanges. The gifts. The deliberate communication attempts. I have been studying it, Minji explained. The scratching is not random. It is learned behavior. I think Komi's species has been watching human transmissions. Our broadcasts that go out into space. I think they saw something about how dogs scratch at doors when they want to come in, when they want to be friends with humans. They are trying to copy that behavior. Hyun stared at the screen. That is insane, was it? Minji asked. We have been broadcasting into space for 200 years. Radio, television, internet data, all of it goes out into the galaxy. If an intelligent species found those signals and tried to understand them, what would they learn? They would see that humans respond well to small creatures who scratch at doors. They would see that we let those creatures into our homes, that we feed them and care for them. So this alien is pretending to be a dog. No, Minji said. This alien is trying to speak a language it thinks we understand. It is trying to make first contact in a way that will not scare us. Hyun was quiet for a long time. He watched Komi on the screen. The creature waited patiently at the airlock, its glowing patches shifting from blue to green. I have to report this, Hyun said finally. But I will give you something. 1 week, document everything. Set up proper observation protocols. Create a real scientific study. When the survey corps comes, show them that this is a controlled situation, not a random encounter. Thank you, Minji said. But if anything changes, Hyun said firmly, if that creature shows any sign of aggression or if more of them appear, I am calling it in immediately. Understood? Understood. That night, Minji left extra food in the airlock. She also left a gift of her own, a small metal disc with Earth's location engraved on it. When Komi came, it found both items. The creature looked at the disc for a long time. Then it picked it up carefully in its mouth and carried it away into the darkness. Minji watched it go and wondered what would happen next. She had 1 week to prove that humanity could make peaceful contact with an alien species. 1 week to show that the strange scratching at her door was not a threat, but an invitation to something greater. 1 week to get it right. On the 4th night of Minji's 1-week deadline, everything changed. She sat at the control panel as usual, waiting for 3 in the morning. Hyun sat beside her now. He had decided to stay the full week to observe. He still thought this was dangerous, but he was starting to understand Minji's excitement. They had learned so much in just 3 days. Keikomi's glowing patches were not just for light. They were for communication. The patterns changed based on the creature's intentions. Minji had started mapping the patterns, trying to create a basic translation guide. 3 in the morning came. The scratching started, but this time it sounded different, louder, more scratches happening at once. Minji pulled up the cameras. Her mouth fell open. There were 6 creatures at the airlock door, 6 of them. Komi was there, smaller than the others. Next to Komi stood a much larger creature, almost twice the size. Its glowing patches pulsed in a steady, strong rhythm. Behind them were 4 more creatures of various sizes. Oh no, Hyun said. He stood up. This is exactly what I was worried about. They are coming in numbers now. Wait, Minji said. Just watch. The large creature stepped forward. It did not scratch at the door. Instead, it sat down in front of the camera. Its whole body lit up with patterns. Waves of color moved across its skin. Blue, then green, then gold, then back to blue. The pattern repeated 3 times. Then the creature stood and gently pushed Kokomi forward. Komi scratched at the door. 7 scratches, just like always. Then Komi looked back at the large creature, like asking for approval. The large creature's patches glowed warm gold. That is Komi's parent, Minji whispered. The big one. It is teaching Komi how to make contact with us. How do you know that? Hyun asked. Look at the behavior. The way the adult stays back. The way it pushes Kikomi forward to do the scratching. The approval pattern afterward. That is a parent teaching a child. Minji made a decision. She opened the communications channel connected to the airlock's external speakers. She spoke slowly and clearly. Hello, we see you. We understand you are trying to communicate. We want to communicate too. All 6 creatures turned to look at the camera when they heard her voice. The large one moved closer. Its patches began creating patterns again. Faster this time. More complex, it is trying to answer, Minji said excitedly. She grabbed her notes. I have been mapping the patterns. Let me see if I can understand any of this. She watched the creature's light patterns and compared them to her notes. Blue meant calm or peaceful. Green meant curious or questioning. Gold meant positive or good. Red meant important or urgent. The patterns were not just colors. They were sequences. They were sentences. The large creature showed blue, then pointed with its head at all 6 of them. Then it showed green, pointed at the station. Then gold and pointed at Minji's voice speaker. Then it showed a new color Minji had not seen before, a deep purple. What does purple mean? Hyun asked. I do not know yet, Minji said. But I think it just told us something like, we are peaceful, we are curious about you, we are happy you speak to us, and then something else. Something important that needed a new color. Minji spoke into the speaker again. Wait there. I am going to try something. She went to her quarters and came back with a flashlight. She pointed it at the camera so the creatures could see it. Then she turned it on and off in a pattern. 3 short flashes, 3 long flashes, 3 short flashes. The old Earth distress signal. SOS, but she was not using it as distress. She was using it to show that humans could also communicate with light. The large creature's whole body lit up bright gold. It bounced on its legs. It turned to the others and they all glowed gold together. They understood. Humans could speak their language. For the next hour, Minji and the large creature tried to communicate. It was slow and difficult. Minji would flash a pattern with her light. The creature would respond with its body patterns. Slowly, Minji started to understand more. The creatures called themselves something like the people of light and dark. Minji thought of them as Solani in her notes. The Sun People. The large one was female. She was the mother of their small group. Keikomi was her youngest child, and they were dying. That was what the purple color meant. Danger, death, ending. Through careful patterns, the mother explained what Minji and Hyun slowly came to understand. The Solani's planet was getting too much radiation from their sun. It was killing their world. They had been watching human broadcasts for years, trying to learn about the species that sent signals into space. They needed help. They needed allies. But they did not know how to ask, so they had studied what humans seemed to like. Small creatures, gentle creatures, creatures that scratched at doors and were welcomed inside. They had sent Komi to try to make friends the way humans made friends with small animals. Hyun's face was pale. They have been planning this for years, learning our language, our culture, how to approach us. And they chose gentleness, Minji said softly. They could have tried to show strength, show weapons, show power. But instead they sent a child to scratch at our door like a lost pet. Suddenly, alarms started blaring. One of the station's panels had come loose from the ceiling. Years of poor maintenance. It fell toward Minji. She did not have time to move, but Hyun did. He jumped forward and pushed Minji out of the way. They both fell to the floor. The panel crashed down right where Minji had been standing. On the screen, all 6 Solani had their bodies glowing red. Urgent red, danger red. They had seen what happened through the camera. They had tried to warn them. Then something else happened. The airlock's outer door, which had been cracked open for the food exchanges, suddenly pushed fully open. Small Kekomi squeezed through. Before anyone could stop it, the creature ran to the inner door. It scratched frantically at the door. Not 7 scratches. Dozens of scratches. Fast and desperate. "It is trying to get in," Hyun said. "It thinks we are hurt. It is trying to help." Minji stood up slowly. Her arm hurt where she had hit the floor, but she was okay. She went to the inner airlock door. Through the window, she could see Komi scratching and scratching. The little creature's patches glowed red, then gold, then blue, then back to red. Panic patterns. Minji put her hand on the window. Komi stopped scratching. It put its paw up against the window, touching where Minji's hand was on the other side. Its patches slowly turned from red to blue. "Calm, safe. They care about us," Minji said. Tears were in her eyes. "They have been watching us from far away, and they care about what happens to us." Hyun stood up and brushed himself off. He looked at the screen showing the mother and the other Solani outside. They were all sitting now, waiting, patient, hopeful. He looked at Kekomi pressing its paw against the window. He looked at Minji. "I am calling the Survey Corps," he said, "but not to report a threat. I am calling them because we just made first contact with an intelligent species that needs our help. And because I think humanity needs to know that someone out there chose to approach us with trust instead of weapons." Minji nodded. She kept her hand on the window. Komi kept its paw there too. Outside, the mother's patches glowed a new color. Soft pink. Minji had not seen pink before. She did not know what it meant yet, but it looked like hope. The Survey Corps arrived 4 days later. 3 military ships and 1 civilian research vessel. Admiral Soo-hyuk commanded the fleet. He was old and stern, with gray hair and a face that showed no emotion. With him came Dr. Bo-young, a specialist in alien politics and first contact situations. Minji watched the ships approach her station. Her stomach felt tight with worry. Hyun had sent his report explaining everything. But would they understand? Would they see what she saw when she looked at the Solani? The Solani had not come back to the station since Hyun made the call. Minji thought they knew something had changed. They were hiding on the planet below, waiting to see what humanity would do. Admiral Soo-hyuk came aboard first. He did not smile or greet Minji warmly. He walked straight to the control panel and started reviewing all her recordings. "You broke protocol, Dr. Kang," he said without looking at her. "You made unauthorized contact with an unknown species. You endangered yourself in this facility." "Sir, if you would just look at the recording," Minji started. "I am looking at them." The Admiral's voice was cold. "I see an alien creature that learned to manipulate you by acting non-threatening. I see you feeding it and encouraging it to return. I see you teaching it about human technology and our location." "That is not what happened," Minji said. She felt anger rising in her chest. "They already knew our location. They have been studying us for years. They came here because they need help, and they tried to ask for it in a way that would not scare us." Dr. Bo-young stepped forward. She was younger than the Admiral, with kind eyes and a gentle voice. "Admiral, perhaps we should review all the data before making conclusions. Dr. Kang has documented 6 weeks of interactions. There is much to learn here." "What I have learned," the Admiral said, "is that these creatures are intelligent enough to deceive. That makes them dangerous. We will establish a quarantine around the planet. No Solani will leave. No humans will approach. We will study them from a distance and determine if they are a threat." "A threat?" Minji could not believe what she was hearing. "They sent a child to scratch at my door. They brought gifts. They showed us they were dying and asked for help. How is that threatening?" "Exactly," the Admiral said. "They are desperate. Desperate creatures do desperate things. We will not risk human lives for aliens we know nothing about." Dr. Bo-young was studying Minji's translation notes. She looked up suddenly. "Admiral, you need to see this." Dr. Kang's analysis of their planet, the radiation levels. She put the data on the main screen. Everyone could see it now. The Solani planet was dying fast. Not in years, in months, maybe less. "They do not have time for a long-distance study," Dr. Bo-young said quietly. "If we quarantine them, we are choosing to let them die. That is not our responsibility," the Admiral said. "Our responsibility is to protect humanity." "From what?" Minji demanded. "From people who need help. From the unknown." They argued for hours. The Admiral wanted safety first. Study first. Protocols first. Minji wanted action, help, compassion. Dr. Boyoung tried to find middle ground, but there was none. Finally, Minji made a decision. While the Admiral was touring the station with his security team, she sat down at the communications panel. She opened a direct channel to Earth, not to the military, not to the Survey Corps headquarters, to the public network. To everyone, she uploaded everything. All the videos of Kokomi scratching at the door, all the recordings of the mother teaching her child, all the light pattern translations, all the data about their dying world. And she added a message. My name is Dr. Minji Kang. I am a human researcher on Station Harmony's edge. 6 weeks ago, an alien child came to my door and scratched. It was trying to say hello. It was trying to ask for help. Its species is dying, and they came to us because they saw in our broadcasts that humans care for small creatures who ask to be let in. They trusted us. Now we have to decide. Are we the species that helps those who trust us? Or are we the species that turns away when someone scratches at our door? She sent it. The message would reach Earth in 6 hours. The Admiral would be furious. She would probably lose her job. Maybe worse, but she did not care. Hyun found her an hour later. I heard what you did. The Admiral is very angry. I know. He is talking about arresting you. I know. Hyun sat down next to her. For what it is worth, I think you did the right thing. Someone had to tell the truth. 6 hours passed. Then 8, then 10. Minji was confined to her quarters. The Admiral had taken over her station. She sat on her bed and waited to hear what would happen next. Finally, Hyun came to her door. He looked tired but also excited. You need to see this. He led her to the control room. The Admiral was there, staring at the communications panel. His face was still stern, but something had changed in his eyes. Show her, he said to Dr. Boyoung. Dr. Boyoung pulled up messages on the screen, hundreds of them. Thousands. Millions. All from Earth. All responding to Minji's broadcast. Messages from children asking to help Kokomi. Messages from scientists offering their knowledge. Messages from engineers offering to build shelters. Messages from ordinary people saying humanity should be better than fear. Messages from government leaders saying the people had spoken, and they would listen. Your message went viral in 3 hours, Dr. Boyoung explained. Every news station on Earth is showing Komi scratching at your door. Everyone is talking about the species that learned to ask for help, the way we taught our dogs to ask for love. The public response is overwhelming. They want us to help. The civilian government has overruled military protocol, the Admiral said. His voice was not cold anymore. Just tired. We have been ordered to establish peaceful contact and provide immediate humanitarian aid to the Solani. You get what you wanted, Dr. Kang. Minji felt tears on her face. She wiped them away. When do we start? Now, Dr. Boyoung said. We have engineering teams ready. Medical staff ready. Diplomats ready. But first we need to make contact. We need to tell the Solani that we are going to help, and we need you to do it. You are the one they trust. They went down to the planet together. A small shuttle carrying Minji, Hyun, Dr. Boyoung, and a security team. They landed near where Minji's instruments had tracked the Solani's heat signatures. The planet was beautiful. Blue forests and silver grass. Crystal formations everywhere. But the air already smelled wrong. Too much radiation. Too much heat. They could all feel it, even through their suits. Minji stepped forward. She held a light in her hand. She flashed the patterns she had learned. Peace. Friends. Help. Come. For a long time, nothing happened. Then slowly, the Solani emerged from the forest. The mother first, cautious. Then the others. Then running ahead of everyone else came Komi. The little creature ran right up to Minji. It sat down in front of her. It lifted its paw, and it scratched the air, gentle and careful. 7 scratches. The greeting it had practiced so many times. Minji knelt down. She put out her hand. Komi touched it with one paw. Its patches glowed warm gold. Hello, Komi, Minji said softly. We heard you scratching. We are here to help. The mother approached slowly. Her patches showed blue, peace, then pink, hope, then a new color, pure white. So bright it hurt to look at. Dr. Boyoung gasped. I think that means gratitude. No, Minji said, watching the white light pulse across all the Solani. That means thank you. Behind them, more ships were landing. Human ships bringing supplies and equipment, Bringing help. Bringing hope. Bringing everything needed to save a dying species. All because a child had learned to scratch at a door. And someone had chosen to open it. 18 months had passed since that first night when Minji heard scratching at her door. She stood now on the observation deck of New Haven, a planet that humans and Solani had chosen together. The planet had good air, gentle weather, and plenty of room for both species to build their homes. Behind her, she could hear the sounds of children playing. Human children and Solani cubs together, their laughter mixing in the air. New Haven was not just a refuge. It had become something more, a symbol, proof that two species could live together, learn together, and help each other survive. The Solani population was growing again. Their old planet was gone now, consumed by radiation, but they were safe here. They had brought their culture, their knowledge, their way of life. The crystals they gifted were actually powerful energy sources. Their light language was being taught in human schools. Their understanding of solar radiation had helped human scientists improve ship designs. In return, humans had given them a new world. Medical care, technology, friendship. Minji watched a small human boy, maybe 5 years old, playing with a Solani cub. The cub was teaching the boy how to create light patterns. The boy was teaching the cub how to kick a ball. Neither of them cared about protocols or politics. They just cared about playing together. "You look thoughtful," a voice said behind her. Minji turned. Hyun walked up to join her at the window. He was not a corporal anymore. He had become a diplomat, specializing in peaceful first contact. His work now was to teach other humans about what he had learned from the Solani. "Just remembering," Minji said, thinking about that first night. "When you heard scratching," Hyun said with a smile. "And instead of being afraid, you got curious." "I was afraid," Minji admitted. "But I was also a scientist. I wanted to understand." They stood together in comfortable silence watching the children play. "Have you heard the news?" Hyun asked. "About the new contact?" Minji shook her head. "What contact?" "A ship picked up strange signals 3 days ago." Rhythmic tapping on their hull. The captain reviewed Earth's archives about the Solani contact. He decided not to panic. Instead, he waited and observed. Turns out it is another species. They call themselves the Talk. They have been tapping on various human ships for weeks, trying to get attention. "Tapping," Minji said. "Like knocking." "Exactly like knocking," Hyun said. "They studied our broadcasts just like the Solani did. They saw that humans knock on doors to ask permission to enter. They are trying to use our own customs to make peaceful contact." Minji felt her heart beat faster. "Another species that chose gentleness over force. And there are more," Hyun continued. The Galactic Council received reports of 2 other species using similar approaches. One species that hums at specific frequencies because they learned humans hum when we are happy. Another that brings small objects as gifts because they saw humans exchange presents. "They are all watching us," Minji whispered. "All these species have been watching humanity, learning about us, and they are choosing to approach us as friends. Because of what happened here," Hyun said. "Because you opened the door when Komi scratched. Because Earth chose to help instead of hide. Word spread across the galaxy. Now other species know that humans respond to peaceful gestures, that we can be trusted with vulnerability." A new voice joined them. "It has changed everything about how we think of first contact." Dr. Boyoung approached. She had stayed on New Haven as the lead researcher for human-Solani cooperation. Her work was now being used as a model for all future contacts. "Before this," Boyoung explained, "we always assumed that first contact would be about power. Who has better weapons? Who has more advanced technology? We prepared for conflict, but the Solani taught us something different. They taught us that intelligence includes emotional intelligence. That true strength can mean showing your weakness to someone you hope will help. And we learned that we could recognize it," Minji added. "All those generations of humans living with dogs and cats and other animals. Learning to read their body language, learning to respond to their requests for help and companionship. It prepared us for this." "Exactly," Boyoung said. "Other species in the galaxy have technology. They have weapons. They have ships and science. But humans have something unique. We evolved alongside other species. We learned to cross the species barrier with creatures that could not even speak our language. We learned to love and protect creatures that were not human. That makes us perfect for galactic diplomacy." The 3 of them watched the children play, A Solani cub accidentally knocked over a human child. The cub's patches glowed red with alarm. But the human child just laughed and stood up. He patted the cub gently. The cub's patches turned gold with relief. They went back to playing. The Galactic Council has asked me to speak at their next meeting, Hyun said. They want to establish new protocols for peaceful contact based on what we learned here. I have to give a speech about our experience. What will you say? Minji asked. Hyun thought for a moment. I think I will tell them about that night on your station. When we first saw all 6 Solani at the door, when the mother pushed Komi forward to do the scratching, when we realized they had sent their child to ask for help, because they thought that would make us less afraid. And then I will tell them what we chose to do. We opened the door. That is good, Boyoung said. But you should also tell them why. Tell them that humans have been opening doors for thousands of years. Every time a lost dog scratched at our door, we opened it. Every time a stray cat meowed for food, we fed it. Every time a hurt animal needed help, we helped. It is what we do. It is who we are. Humanity, the species that opens doors, Minji said softly. I like that. A small figure came running up to them, Komi. The little Solani was not so little anymore. Bigger now, almost full-grown. But still gentle. Still curious. Komi worked as an ambassador now, traveling between human and Solani communities, teaching both species about each other. Komi's patches glowed blue in greeting. Then they created a pattern that Minji had learned to recognize. The pattern that meant friend. Minji knelt down and put her hand out. Komi touched it gently with one paw. The same gesture they had shared that first night on the planet's surface when humanity had come to help. I have news to share. Komi's patches spelled out slowly. The Solani had learned to make their light patterns precise enough that humans could read them as words now. The talk want to meet you. The ones who tap. They say they want to thank the human who first opened her door. Me? Minji was surprised. Yes, they studied all the records. They saw that you heard scratching and chose curiosity over fear. They say that choice changed the galaxy. Now they want to learn from you how to be better at making peaceful contact. Minji looked at Hyun and Boyoung. They both nodded encouragingly. Tell them I will meet them, Minji said. And tell them I am honored. Komi's patches glowed bright gold. Happy. Then the Solani turned and bounded back toward the children. So it continues, Hyun said. More species. More contacts. More opportunities to get it right. Or get it wrong, Boyoung warned. Not every species will be like the Solani. Not every approach will be peaceful. We have to stay careful. But we also have to stay open, Minji said. We have to remember that intelligence comes in many forms. That communication happens in many ways. And that sometimes the bravest thing anyone can do is scratch at a door and hope someone opens it. They stood together and watched the sun set over New Haven. 2 species, sharing one world, building something new together. And somewhere out in space, other species watched and learned and hoped that maybe humanity would open the door for them too. Later that night, Minji walked through the quiet corridors to her quarters. Tomorrow she would start preparing to meet the talk. Next month, Hyun would give his speech to the Galactic Council. Next year, who knew what new species would make contact? But tonight, she just wanted to remember. She wanted to remember being alone on her station, hearing that first scratch, making that first choice to watch instead of report, to feed instead of fear, to open the door instead of reinforcing the locks. She had not known that night that her choice would matter so much. She had just been a scientist, curious about an unexpected sound. But that curiosity had changed everything. It had saved a species. It had opened the galaxy to peaceful contact. It had taught humanity what they were truly meant to be. Not the strongest species. Not the smartest species. Not the species with the best weapons or the fastest ships. But the species that heard scratching at the door and chose to open it. The species that saw vulnerability and offered help. The species that learned from dogs and cats and every small creature that ever asked humans for kindness. The species that, when someone finally learned to scratch, said, welcome instead of go away. Minji smiled and went to sleep. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new contacts, new opportunities to prove what humanity could be. But tonight, she was just grateful that she had been there at that door at that moment, when Komi first learned how to scratch, and that she had chosen to listen.